afternoon, and good morning, depending on where you're joining us from. And thank you so much for being here. We're delighted to bring you a webinar today on how to bank safely and shop online safely. To take you through this presentation, I'm joined from a few representatives here from Connected Canadians. We've got Jesse, Tanya, and Kevin, and Jesse will bring you through the majority of the presentation this afternoon. As proven experts in the area of technology, Connected Canadians is a national nonprofit organization with a mandate to provide technology training and support freely to all Canadian seniors, fostering digital literacy skills and reducing isolation and loneliness. By 2030, their goal is for all Canadian seniors to have access to free technology training and support. Through partnerships with retirement residences and senior serving organizations, they support older adults by providing tailored remote workshops and one-to-one training sessions, device donations and lending, as well as many other custom programs centered around entertainment and art. As we move through the presentation, please feel free to pop any questions you have into the chat. I've been on some sessions before, and they're quite interactive. This one in particular, as we go through the content. If you'd also like more information on Connected Canadian services or to schedule a one-to-one, their website toll-free number will be popped into the chat for you to record. Now over to you, Jesse. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Natasha. Appreciate it. And hello to everyone. I'm just repositioning here in my office. I'm in a building that has some renovation being done today. And so because of that, I think it's actually been playing havoc with some of my internet signal. So my apologies if I've been a little choppy. We're going to move to a more direct line to my wireless signal. So it's going to be slightly darker, but we are also going to be better able to actually see each other, not just a freeze frame of me. So as mentioned by Natasha, I am in fact with Connected Canadians, and this workshop is going to be looking at two aspects of online activity or life, two sets of related things you can do. And I think one of the ways to easily think about this is there are ways that you can manage your money online, and there are ways that you can spend your money online, and how these work together and how you can be safe in doing these things are equally important. So we're going to be going through some slides. I will be going through, and all along the way, if you have questions, let me know, because I want to make sure that if you have specific concerns or interests, that we address those rather than just me reading from a script. We're all here to learn and experience this together, and I'm excited to be able to do this here with you. If you want to ask questions to me directly, or to maybe even if you have like something that you want to bring up anonymously, you can ask that question in the chat window as well, or you can unmute yourself and speak. So either of those options are available. Just bringing up the presentation now. There. So banking and shopping online safely. So you've got those four things. Two things you can do, banking and shopping. We're talking about doing them online, and we want to make sure we do them safely, because it's one thing to just go out there and perhaps do things that could be risky. But what does that even mean? Could be an interesting thing. We might know what it means to do something risky in real life when it comes to shopping. Maybe buying something that's supposed to be a genuine article when you're really at a pawn shop could lead to, let's say, concerns about the authenticity of an item. But that might make sense in the real world. What are the things that could be risks or perhaps unsmart decisions online? We're going to talk about those. And by the end of this session, I hope that you'll be able to actually understand what the benefits of online banking and online shopping are, even if you decide not to do these things more. You should at least have a better idea of why you're choosing not to do something. And not only understand it, I want to hopefully show you how you can actually do these things. So it's one thing to have an idea of the pros and cons. It's another thing to know, well, how can I get this done? Where can I actually bank online? How can I do this? And so we are going to go through those things as well. So with regards to the shopping aspect, so we're going to consider the pros and cons of how to shop online, where you can go to shop, how to use coupons, how to check reviews on items, understanding what shipping costs are, And then also consider some of the actual safety components. With regards to banking, we're going to consider what you can and can't do with online banking, what the pros and cons are of that, and just as sort of like a little exercise, we'll go through some of those first steps of what it would look like to sign up if you don't already do that. And I'm curious now, so you can sort of make a little comment in the chat window, or use the hand raise symbol that's at the bottom of your window. How many people currently do bank online? You don't need to do all of your banking online, but have any of you logged it? Okay, I see one person already that's doing some online banking. That's great. I do some things online, not all. And I want to say also that online banking can mean mobile banking on your phone too. So one of the most, I think, exciting features of mobile banking, so online, but specifically with a mobile device, that we're going to talk about. I get checks sometimes, and being able to deposit my check by taking a picture of them is a hugely convenient feature. And so that's one of those things that I know can lead a lot of people to almost make the switch just for that one feature, even if everything else happens in a branch. Just that type of convenience is really impressive. And we'll also consider, obviously, the safety component of banking online. Now, just to understand who we are, in case this is your first time with us. One moment. Oh, there we go. Natasha saying everything possible she does online. You know, I really got good at online banking when it was like during the pandemic. I didn't really like shopping online, but I got all my basics and stuff. You know, I can't remember the last time I went and bought batteries in a store, but I still like to go try clothing on. But some of those simple things, you know, that's how it falls for me. Now, that's just a personal aside, but us at Connected Canadians, who we are as a group is a people. We are people who promote digital literacy skills, and as Natasha was saying, we aim by 2030 to have all older Canadians be digitally literate. And if this is your first session here with us, or if there are things that come up during the session that you might want to dig a little deeper on, you might want perhaps a guided walkthrough to get the online shopping extension Honey, to get coupons installed on your browser, but you don't think you could do that on your own. Those types of things, those one-on-one activities, are a big part of our core mandate to offer one-on-one support sessions to older Canadians. And that can be done, that can be requested either through our website or through our phone number. So that's going to be in the chat, and you'll see that here, the website as well. So we love being able to offer tech mentor support. Sometimes that's over a phone call, sometimes it's in a Zoom session. And after those sessions, you get a chance to give us feedback, because through the whole process, what we do is to not only help teach people, but also learn from them. So we like to share our knowledge, and then in the feedback that we get, we also like to learn how to do better and understand what it is that our clients really want and really benefit from. So I hope that over the course of this session, there are lots of things that you benefit from. So when we offer virtual workshops like this, we want to make sure that this has got the information that you want, and that you're going to learn something from this today. So we would appreciate, I personally would appreciate, knowing how this goes at the end. When we got a chance for feedback and like a question period, or even afterwards, you want to send us a message, I would love to hear how this goes, and maybe if you learn a thing or two. So I always think it's easier to talk about the shopping component first. Why? Because when it comes to spending money online, when it comes to spending money anywhere in general, it's a little more fun. It's a little more, you know, it's going to put pep in your step more than just managing your finances. We all know that how we maintain our financial life is important, but shopping can be, and how we spend our money can, I think, be a little bit more exciting, engaging. And a lot of people became familiar with the ins and outs of online shopping over the course of the pandemic. And for some people, that's not ending. But it could also be that the way that you did things online has changed even over the last couple of years. You might have done something out of necessity before, and now you're thinking you might want to try something just because you liked it. You like the convenience of being able to order that thing from a place on Saturday when the physical store is only open Monday through Friday, whatever it might be. There are lots of pros to shopping online. And one of the biggest ones is that there's more selection, especially if you live in like a smaller population center where you might have one store to go to, but it's not the giant warehouse that all of the GTA pulls from, and you're, gosh, I don't know, like you're at the cottage or somewhere, and so your tiny little Canadian Tire doesn't have anything stocked, but you have more selection through the website. Often it's easier to find discounts and even lower prices when purchasing things online. If you're a fair distance away from the stores you would usually go to, you get to avoid the driving or the bad weather. And having something heavy delivered to your home can make a big difference. I know I've spoken with someone who actually gets their cat litter delivered right to their doorstep, because that's one of those items that is really, really heavy, hard to cart around out to the car, up the stairs or whatever. But getting cat litter delivered to their door is possible with online shopping. And it also, as we enter sort of another wave of increased infections, obviously provides you with greater levels of safety with avoiding COVID-19. So these are all reasons why online shopping can work for people really well. However, there are some cons to it, and one of the most obvious ones is that the items you don't get to try before you buy for lots of things. So not being able to see the product, try it on. That's why I don't buy clothes online, but I sure do buy those batteries. Sometimes there are shipping costs involved, and these shipping costs can at times be hidden or hard to detect. So making sure that the price that you see is the price you're eventually going to pay is something that can make a big difference. And to be fair, not all stores even offer online shopping. So you may have more selection in a given store, like a Canadian Tire or an Indigo for books, but it might be that you want to get something that's only offered at a particular small boutique, and they don't offer online shopping. So in some ways you can get more selection, in other ways there may be less. So both of these groups of things are important to consider. Now, where can you do this? I will say right off the bat, just about every single large department store has their own website that allows you to purchase many of their products in one place. So that could be something like Walmart. They have an online retail division, and walmart.ca allows you to purchase things. Home Depot, it's homedepot.ca. I know just a couple of weeks ago, I was on the website of Costco. And so these major brick and mortar retailers also have online services. So that's an example of like a hybrid model where people sell things in a brick and mortar store as well as online. There are also retailers that are exclusively online, like Amazon. And so they have giant warehouses filled with products, but you can't really walk through them in the same way. You only would go to their website, but they are great at what they do. And one of the things that frequently is true of companies like Amazon is because they don't have the brick and mortar store, their prices are often lower because they have less overhead. So that's a real thing that drives people to those websites in order to purchase things. I find that one of the good things about online retail is that you can access those specialty stores for specific types of products that could be kind of hard to find. I used to have a job that required me to wear steel-toed shoes, not steel-toed boots, but like nice leather, like classy, can hold some polish steel-toed shoes. Those are not particularly common, but I could find them easily through marks.com. which is Mark's Work Warehouse. Particular books that are maybe in a different language or printed by a very small publisher that I might not be able to find everywhere, indigo.ca has a massive catalog that you can access. So these types of retailers that have specific, let's say, product categories, but very large inventories, allow you to access all of that online. And I find that's a really, really useful way to think about things you're looking for. Let's say you have a particular hobby and, there might be a hobby store near you, but gosh, imagine what going to an online knitting website would have, an online sort of model boat construction place that's not just a little hobby shop sort of in your neighborhood, but the company that formerly would supply that. You can imagine the kinds of options or inventories. Tanya actually just put a great little note online. Oh, there you go. Ken was looking at Costco batteries. I'm an Amazon battery guy, but yeah, Costco batteries are a great cheap thing that's much less expensive than buying in the store. And that doesn't just mean like AA batteries. Costco is probably the cheapest place for you to get a car battery too, if I'm being honest. And Tanya's saying that Amazon actually has a feature on their app. So this would be a way to use the Amazon app on your phone, where you can take a picture of a barcode at a store and compare their prices to the same products in real time. So that's a really useful thing. Maybe that for you is hearing aid batteries, something that you're actually purchasing with, a fair amount of frequency. And that type of comparison shopping is a really useful feature. I find that also sometimes there can be more transparency with things with regards to medical supplies. I know that my wife, my wife's a diabetic, and so she has to purchase diabetic supplies, not the actual medication, but things like needles for testing her blood and patches to monitor blood glucose. Things like that she's been able to find and do comparison shopping with online. That's hard to do when those things are like behind the counter at a pharmacy. So doing that online is a great thing to do. Now, skip one too far. Let me go back. There we are. One thing that you can do, because I'm saying that there's all of these great things to look for online, but sometimes if you're looking for particular niche products, you might be a little off the beaten track. You might not recognize the name of an online storefront or a company that's selling things. And if you're not sure how safe something like that is, one of the best things that you can do is actually check the store's rating on the Better Business Bureau website. So this is bbb.org. They're like a nonprofit that monitors corporate responsibility and allows people to submit sort of complaints, or I guess even do audits and say like, hey, good job, these guys are a legitimate business, and track that without any financial incentivization for themselves. So they're like a neutral third party that allows you to get good feedback from what companies are doing online. Now, another thing that's true when you're shopping online, just like in real life, is that you can use discounts. Often they're called promo codes or coupons. And sometimes these are things that you only can get online. So maybe if you sign up for a newsletter, you get 15% off your first purchase from a particular website. Or if you refer a friend, they might give you a $20 code. And these things can be done quite easily. And I, more than once myself, have signed up for newsletters for that 15% off your first purchase, and then immediately unsubscribe from that email once I got my discount. So these kinds of things exist online. And if you have a hard time finding them, you can quite often find them by doing a simple Google search. So if there's a given brand or store that you're interested in, then searching, Indigo discount code or Indigo coupon. There's also a really useful coupon add-on called Honey. Now, there are others, but I find this is the most reputable one because this is actually owned by a large reputable company, which is PayPal. So what this does is essentially collect coupons from all across the internet and applies them automatically when you're shopping for anything. So this could, you might not think to look for a 50-cent off coupon when you're purchasing shave gel, because that's not worth your time to go look for that. But it would automatically aggregate these things, bring them all together, and get you saving money without you really having to think about it after that first installation. So that can be a really useful thing. That idea of all of the benefits of coupon clipping without having to do the work every time. So all of these things are, good ideas. And oh gosh, we have other people here who are as into Costco as I am. Natasha, Tanya, I see you. I'm a big believer in Costco too. Oh, that's its own thing. And you always think, I spent so much money, but I get so much stuff. It's like you buy things by the kilogram instead. It means you always have an excuse to have friends over. Like, come on over. I have 3 wheels of brie or something like that. So I like Costco for those reasons, even if I don't need to eat all of that myself, or the lawn furniture. It's a great way it's an excuse to have people over, and it keeps being social. So I like that too. But we're going to actually use this as an exercise, and you can follow along with me while I, in fact, go to indigo.ca. The other one, if you're not a book person, you're going to actually try going to canadiantire.ca, and on that website, search for a product, a specific one. Once you've done that search, don't close that browser, because we're going to use that for the next exercises. So watch what let me do this right now. We're just going to share I've got to end this part of the presentation. That's up on my screen. And we're going to share this. So what I have done right now, and what you're seeing on my screen, is in fact Indigo's website. So to get here, I simply type www.indigo.ca. And one of the first things that comes up, I haven't even clicked on it yet. Look at this, right on the very first thing they ask me to do, stay in the know, join our email list. And as it says, to know about exclusive offers, that's a real thing. Sometimes there will be offers that are shared only through an email that you send up for. And they make it easy for you to sign up right there, obviously, just putting an email address in. But I'm going to close that right now and just have a look at this website. So again, if any of you are able to, if you're on a device that lets you sort of go back and forth, I encourage you to just press escape, so you're not having my face or this screen fill your whole screen, and you can go to a website yourself. So using either Canadian Tire or Indigo, just have a look at what this website looks like. So here I see a very standardized format that shows things. You can see, since I've been to this page before, it's asked me for my location at one point in time. And when it did that, it then told me where the nearest store was and the hours of that store. So one of those things that will often happen when you go to the website, especially the website of a large chain, is you'll get asked for your location. This doesn't mean that they're spying on you. It means they want to give you information just like what you see here. They've asked me where I am, and now that they know, they can tell me information about my nearest store. But there's a place right up at the top where I can search for a given product. Let's say I wanted to search for, and I'm going to sort of play the person right now that's a little confused. I remember there being a book by someone that just came out, but all I can think of is his first name, and it stuck with me. His name was Yuval. Oh, and look, then it starts to give me what I went through that too fast. Search suggestions. So even if I don't know the exact name of a product, so I just searched for Yuval was his first name. So what is that? Oh, Yuval Harari. Yuval Harari in books. So it helps you sort of bring back to mind the kinds of things you were looking for. And I know that the author's name is actually Yuval Noah Harari. So just by doing a search for a particular product, I get this, a list of all of the results. Gosh, look at that, 119. That seems awfully overwhelming. I don't think he wrote 119 books, but here's why. And these are sort of the things that you can do to help narrow things down. There are not just his books, but over on the left, there are filters. And most any online retailer would have filters like this, but they could be different in terms of their content. Let's say you are at a website, there might be a filter that says applies to free shipping. Maybe you want to filter only products that are in stock because you don't want to be shown things that aren't available anymore. So here for books, you can see one of the big ones is format. So there's ebooks, paperbacks, hardcovers, audiobooks. So all of those different categories can easily be selected. So let's say I only want hardcover. Now I only get one of 12 results instead of 119. So it's a really good way to find sort of the things you want and even find the specific versions of things you want. And gosh, look, I'm even getting not only the book in English, but the book in French. I'm getting the book in Spanish. So you would be very hard pressed to go into your average Indigo and find a large, well-stocked Spanish section. However, if you're looking for books in other languages, you can often find those even through Indigo here. So that's a great example of the kind of thing that is available if you just go online and have access to the full product line of someone instead of just the local store. You don't get to talk to the nice person at the checkout, and I miss those moments too. But for things like this, it's hard to beat. It really is. Now, that said, I'm going to bring this back up. Well, that's taking. Let's see how long this takes to load. Give me that slideshow here, Google. On the other side, for those of you who have been looking for things, what other products have we been looking for? Let's actually stop sharing and do it this way. What products were looking for other books? Did we go to other websites? Did anyone try that little exercise? Oh, perhaps not. Well, hello again, everyone. Now I see all of your video screens moving. I'm not certain what led to that dropped connection, but what I had been asking right before, I don't know if we got through this in time, was whether any of you were able to actually try this out. Did anybody look for a book? Did anyone go to a different website by any chance and search for something? I'm just watching chat for some answers right now. So in that case, to the next part of this story. And so I'm going to begin sharing my screen again. So just reloading this here, and that that type of experience, going looking for a particular product and ideally finding the one that we want, is a great way to expand sort of what is available to you. And another thing that you can do that I'm going to show here on this website, I did just the page 4. Click on it right now. And so what I'm going to share or show instead on this page is the actual item itself. Now, when I look at this item, which I brought up, so Sapiens, A Brief History of Human, ways that I can, first of all, have the price, like shipped. So in this case, I brought up not currently available. Oh, and maybe that's because I chose the hardcover version. So because we still have that hardcover selected, I'm going to remove that and instead look for just a paperback version. That's more likely. Oh, one moment. Okay. Sorry. If something like this continues to happen, I'm not certain if you're seeing this on your side. It might be a problem beyond just myself. Indigo seems a little confusing. Something's gone wrong with Indigo. So I'm going to reload that page. I don't know if that's contributing to some of the challenges that we're all having with what you're seeing of me. But I just reloaded this page and I've gone back to a different Yuval Noah Harari book. So I picked the 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. So here we've got it available in hardcover, paperback, ebook. When I look at this, and this is a feature on a whole lot of websites, not just on Indigo. Products on Amazon will have this. Products on Walmart will .ca will have this. Going down the listing, you'll often have reviews. So here we've got people reviewing a book, and books are often a matter of personal preference. But if you're looking, let's say, at a particular item like, oh gosh, I don't know, windshield wipers or a jacket, like a raincoat, and you don't know if it's it fits large or it fits small, if it's a great option, like the windshield wipers are great in the summer, but they freeze up too much in the winter. These kinds of information tidbits are often shared in reviews that people leave on products on websites. And so it can be a great way to get more info about a product. I know that when I purchase things online, I am frequently sent emails maybe a week or 2 weeks after I receive that item, actually asking for my feedback. And so those reviews, which are from people who have purchased a product, then end up on a page like this. And so it's a great way to get that kind of feedback from other people who've bought an item to help you know if you want to buy that item too. So I find that really useful. So that's a review that we just looked at. Now, if any of you went and looked at different products, I'm wondering, do any of you, and sometimes, there's a trick. Let's look just here. If I go to customer reviews, one of the ways to find out some of the most interesting things, there's other ways to sort it. And quite often when you get that, you want to know, well, what are the 1-star reviews? What are the 5-star reviews? You want to know what those things are at the top and bottom. And so if you sort lowest to highest, this is a way of getting those lowest ones first, and that can actually really bring to the forefront some of the challenges or problems with a given item. So I'd recommend something like that, whether it's searching lowest reviews first or by actually doing 1-star reviews to find out if there are any particular problems. And the one other thing that I do want to touch on when it comes to shopping is just how to deal with or understanding shipping costs, because that's something that is it's a moving target when it comes to buying things online. So if I go right back to the home page of Indigo, so I'm going to click on Indigo, so that's sort of right up at the top. It takes me to the home page. There is here information, if I scroll down, and it's usually towards the bottom, so I could scroll through everything, or I could just do the little secret trick and press the end button to go right to the bottom of the page. And you'll see here, customer services, shipping and returns. If I were to go to Canadian Tire, it's the same thing, all the way at the bottom of the page, shipping and returns. And here is Indigo's policy, where we have free standard shipping on eligible orders over $35 when shipping within Canada. So you have to sort of tick those different boxes all along the way. Standard shipping is probably going to get it to me in 3 to 5 days, not 1. And it's got to be over $35. And I can't be shipping this to Nigeria, not for free anyway. But if you tick those boxes, that's a very sort of clear shipping policy that shows you when you have to pay and when it is. And you want to make sure that those bits of information are the ones that you're aware of before you buy things online. I'll say that those numbers, like the dollar figure, $35, is almost always the pre-tax figure. So if you think to pay for shipping, but if shipping was only on, let's say, 40 orders of $40 or more, and your whole order pre-tax was whatever, 37, you need to get up just over that threshold in order to actually get the free shipping. So just watch that those shipping or offers are usually pre-tax, not after tax. That's a little something to be aware of. So with that said, I want to connect two the things with regards to shopping aspects to the payments that you make when you're using online services to shop. Sometimes you might use a payment app, and overwhelmingly that means using a third-party service called PayPal. So what PayPal does is act almost like a broker in between your money or your financial institution and the store, like the online marketplace. So those online security to protect your credit card information or your banking information. But PayPal is itself an organization with very, very strong, robust security, much like a bank would have. So using a payment app, if that app is PayPal, is as secure as using your direct financial information from a bank. If anything, PayPal might be better, if I'm being honest. And anytime you are shopping online, you want to be concerned about the privacy policies of whether they keep your information on file. I usually, when I get to the point where I have to pay, if I'm using my credit card, I'll enter in my credit card number manually, but I won't tell it to remember my card next time. Because even if they're keeping my information private, sometimes, they might only have to really be safe with that information for 7 years. But if the company goes bankrupt over those 7 years, what happens to my financial information can be made confusing by what's in those privacy policies. So there's some fine print that can really matter. And also when you're shopping online, there can be moments where you have to use multi-factor authentication when buying things. And to be fair, if you've ever purchased anything over the phone or on credit card, you already do multi-factor authentication. You use the number, you actually use two sort of factors, two types of information. I would also say that in any of your online activities where money is involved, to avoid connecting social media. So I wouldn't log into a website where I'm buying things by logging in with Facebook, you know. Oh, so don't tell me it's loading again. There. So anytime that you use social media as a login device, there's usually personal information that's being transferred that might not be ideal. So if you want to order pizza from Pizza Pizza and they ask you to sign into your account and you say, oh, I can just log in with Facebook instead, that's easy. A lot of times in those situations, there's some information about the transaction that is shared. Now, it wouldn't be your actual payment information, but if you go online and order takeout sushi every Thursday night, and you logged in with PayPal, or you logged in with Facebook, you can be pretty sure that every Thursday morning, you're going to start getting sushi ads sent directly to you by Facebook, because they can put two and two together. They might not know your banking details, but they know where you're spending money when. And so that kind of stuff is something you should be aware of if you're concerned about privacy. And I myself am. This is a bit more information about what that means to use app. And I should say, well, especially if you have a Apple user, Apple Pay is so again, they act like that third-party broker, keeping information safe on either side of the transaction. So they are the neutral third party, and they might have the money go from the little storefront to or back and forth, but they have roguery practices. And so they can be a good way to pay for things online, rather than giving your credit card information directly to Susie's Crochet Emporium, who might not have the strongest online security to protect your financial information. So that's why these programs are so common. And again, just if you're worried about what will happen to your information, a good search of the website in question will allow you to see the privacy policy, where, for example, on Indigo, I go down at the bottom, the shipping information, the privacy policy is down there in that the footer of the website as well. So that's where you find all that. And just, this is a simple explanation of that multi-factor authentication, why you do it. This is like the CC, even if it can get kind of annoying at times to say, like, I just wanted to buy this book and now it's asking to send a text to my phone to confirm who I am. You know what? I would suggest still doing that regardless. Oh, sorry. I just see.
Hey, Jesse, can you hear?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know, it's just been a little bit choppy the last little bit. If there's anything you can do to try to stabilize just your internet connection there, so we can hear all the information that you're presenting.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, let me try one more readjustment.
So sorry about that, folks. Hopefully this little readjustment here will fix things. So thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, sorry, I went out into the rest of the house and said, hey, everyone, because right now I'm having renovations done that have meant that I need to be on a wireless connection rather than my typical wired one. So I just told everyone else to get off the Wi-Fi. So hopefully that does change, because now I'm getting all the dedicated bandwidth. So I'm sorry also that led to this this unstable connection. And I'm wondering how right now am I seeming? Do we hear me well?
It's been great the last 10 seconds there. So thank you.
Yes, it's sounding.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Continues to stay that way.
Good. I'm glad that's much better. Yeah. Well, I'll I have told them again to stay off that Wi-Fi. So we're going to be hopefully much better with that. And I have an 8-year-old who is beating the heat right now by watching TV instead of running around outside. And you can't really tell him to go run around outside because it's too hot out. So sorry about that. So just to say a few things about what it is that we can do, not only to earn our money, but to keep our money safe when we are online. I want to make sure we've got this on the full screen so everything's working. Banking online is another thing that's come a long way over the last couple of years. And some of the simplest things that you might expect to be able to do online are the sorts of things that you could do at an ATM, like checking balances, paying bills, and also sending money. But beyond that, I can do things like not just pay a bill, but set up automated payments for bills. I can check the history of payments, of bill payments that I've made. It's not just that I can between my accounts. I can see that I can even use personally bank with TD. I can get trends or insights into the way I'm spending my money. That is something that really, I mean, you can't quite get that from going into a teller at all. So there's all this information that's now available in your online banking world that I find has finally got to the point where there are more pros than just convenience. There are new things, new ways I can think about my money and manage my money that did not exist certainly 5 years ago, and didn't perhaps make the strongest case for online banking replacing going into a branch. But I'm really, really finding that there's been lots of innovation in this sector. So some of those things that I find especially are like that moment of time where things connect to the way things used to be and the way things are going forward is actually with checks. So I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite features to use, and all major, like all the big 5 banks in Canada let you do this. If you have their app on your phone, you can take a picture of a check and deposit it right there. So it's able to read the transit numbers along the check, scan and recognize from, and knows where it's going. It's the same as going into a teller and having the money put in directly into your account. So that is like the new version, like the new high-tech version of what to do with a check. But still, if you need checks for some reason, you can still just order them online. So it's a simple thing that you can do that doesn't require going into a teller. So I find that, just one moment. Now, a question here from someone is just, do all banks offer training for their online services? That is a good question. And the answer in my experience is, here, we're going to bring this up, is somewhat. So I won't say it's fully, oh, sorry, it's td.com. So because this is where I bank and it's what I'm most familiar with, I'm just going going to give the example of going to TD.com. And the only things that I need to begin setting up an online banking is my actual debit card and a few pieces of like personal number. And then I spoke to them on the phone and they said, can you give us, an idea of what maybe the last large purchase you made was? And I said, I would have spent, and I spent $460 at Canadian Tire because I got my car fixed, and they could see that sort of transaction. They knew that that was me. But here on the TD website, you've got ways to access their different products, different things that you can do, but there's also right here an advice hub. So some of this is financial information, like the students tab would have information about how to perhaps apply for an RESP, or what sort of tax credits you could use, like with money with regards to saving tuition credits right here. And there are right here ways to learn how to do lots of things, including right there, self-serve banking. So you can actually learn how to bank from the comfort of your own home. So you can do that with these specific tutorials. So there's a tutorial on how to register, tutorial on how to log in, and how to pay a bill. So those most common things that you can do to bank are actually spelled out for you really clearly on their website. And so again, I can't speak to whether or not all of the major banks do this. I can only say that TD does this and does this quite well. So that's that hopefully answers your question in one way. Whether or not your bank is that or not, I can't speak to other ones. So just with that said, I know that right now we're at 3:53. I'm just wondering if any of you have ever tried using any of these online banking website tutorials. Have you ever tried learning, or what sorts of questions would you have about banking online and how that works right now? Because I want to be able to actually sort of, yeah, I guess that did kind of seem like an ad. Sorry about that. I don't work for TD. I'm not endorsing them versus others, but I will say that that's there. And if any of you bank with other financial institutions, I'd encourage you to go check out bmo.com and see if they have things that look like this. And if you have a hard time finding information specifically for online banking, I will say that this language here, self-serve banking, is quite commonly used by the banks to serve as a blanket term for telephone banking, as well as internet, online banking together. They call those self-serve using one term. So if you don't see online, then self-serve is often where that information is found. So just to again open this up, you can type in chat, or Natasha, I believe they have the option to be able to unmute themselves. Can they actually speak right now?
Hi. Yeah, no ability to speak. We can continue to either pop questions in the chat, or I see that a few people have been using the QA as well, so you can pop questions in either form, and we're able to answer those for you. It looks like right now everything has been answered in the QA, which is great. Thanks for submitting those questions. Oh, there's one that's and is just writing an answer to now, and I think all of the ones in the chat are there. So if anyone else has any questions or comments, we do still have a few more minutes before we wrap up. Go ahead and pop open that chat box and type in the questions. I'm not sure, Jesse, if you had anything else that you wanted to cover off before we end as well, if we don't have any questions there.
Yeah, so if we don't have questions, the one other thing that I did just want to say with regards to how you sort of keep your information safe. Anytime you're logging into a website for a financial institution, like a bank, you're going to be required to use a password. And we always encourage people to use different passwords for different things. That's the best way to maintain sort of online safety, because usually the way that people get access to your information, it's not by a direct attack. It's like you logged on to one website 5 or 6 years ago, and you use the same email information or the same sort of personal info for that thing as you are still using now 5 years later for your banking information. And maybe 5 years ago it was like Mike's outboard motor stickers. Just the silliest, most low stakes item possible. But if you're using the same personal information for that website as you are for your banking information, then one is as secure as the other. And Mike's outboard motor stickers is not going to care as much about security as RBC. But if you use that same information, you can expose yourself. It's just a way of thinking of things as information that you want to keep safe. Like in the same way I would tell people, never make your PIN your birthday, because that's probably going to be one of the first things that people guess. And if you figure it out in one place, you can figure it out in others. So just with banking online, the banks use two-factor authentication. The banks make sure that they are constantly asking you to verify your identity, often even through, you log on once, like for one transaction or to do one thing. They might say, listen, because you're requesting this particular thing, maybe to change your address. This is such a big deal. Even though we've asked for your password once, we're asking you again. They're really, really on these kinds of things. The banks probably care more about your online safety and security than any other institution, which is actually why the government of Canada trusts the banks to verify your identity. I mean, it is the gold standard. The government trusts the banks to know who you are. So I cannot stress that enough, but that means that this is also the most important information for you to keep safe for yourselves. So what password you use for any online banking should always be A, difficult to guess, and B, not the same one that you use for any other website. So that's a really important consideration. If you do those, I'd say that you're sort of as safe as you can be anywhere online, but making sure you don't expose yourself by reusing passwords for your banking is the number one security bit of advice that I can give. And I know it's very common. I've helped people that have confessed to me like, oh, my password, it's the same. I haven't changed it in 10 years and I use it for everything. Do it. There's no shame in changing it now. You can learn and do better any day. I did this. That's actually my story. That using the same password, it's probably 8 years, but I use the same password and I use it on multiple websites and it was easy. I shouldn't have done it. No information got stolen, but I realized I was asking for it and I changed. So I encourage all of you, if you don't have a strong, safe, separate password for your banking information right now, do it. So that would be the last thing I'd leave with all of you.
Thanks so much, Jesse. I may have to take a word of advice and change a few passwords. I'm not admitting to anything, but I may take that advice personally. So thanks so much for that. And thank you, Jesse, for your presentation this afternoon. And thank you, Ken, for jumping in on the chat and answering some of those questions that came through. So I hope that everyone who had their questions answered found this information valuable, as well as everyone who stayed to follow along. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here this afternoon. We appreciate your time. And if you do have any further questions, I do think, as we mentioned before, that the website for Connected Canadians is in the chat. You can go ahead and reach out to them for their services. Thank you, everyone. I hope wherever you are, you're staying safe and enjoy the rest of the summer. Thank you.